Okay, well, welcome everyone that's just joining. I want to get kicked off with some quick introductions first. Today we have the great pleasure of interviewing Dr. Limin Hu. He's a good friend of ours, of Monty Jade, myself, and our community. He is the founder and CTO emeritus of a company called Limin Inc. They went through an IPO and a $3.7 billion exit not too long ago. And we'll talk a little bit also later on about what has happened to them recently and sharing some of Limin's important experience that he wants to tell everyone else later on. He is also the chairman emeritus for Monty Jade West Science and Technology Association. He's the one that suckered me into joining Monty Jade and taking over after him. But I really thank Limin for taking on that role and then bringing me on board as well. So I really appreciate that. Ryan, can you move to the next slide? Just as a reminder, this event is recorded. Feel free to, I know it says Q&A function, but feel free to use the chat function at any point in time to just ask your questions. And then once we're done with this event, we will post it onto our website for everyone to view at their pleasure. Raise your hand if you want to get some moderator support or if you want to just jump in as well. If you are not talking, please put yourself on mute so we don't get any background noise from you and enjoy the viewing experience here. Ryan, next slide. So just as a reminder, Monty Jade West, we were founded in 1989. We were founded by immigrants that immigrated to the local Bay Area, Silicon Valley. And most of us were under-networked and under-resourced when we were first founded. But we bonded together to form a community to help and support one another, to really grow our businesses, identify opportunities, and really just network. So today we do this under 3 pillars. We have an interview series, we have technology forums, and we have mentorship program, of which most people on this call today are aware of. So on the interview series side, we do these great talks, fireside chats, and board-to-board interviews like the one that we have today. We have technology forums that focuses on new evolving technologies. Recently, we've had one on AI communications. We're going to have one on blockchain coming up. And obviously, we have a mentorship program. The mentorship program is a 6-month-long program that is focused on advancing Asian Americans within the corporate environment. Today, Asians are still promoted at a significantly slower pace than our counterparts, and we strive there to ensure that we get at least some parity up on the leadership stack as well. Next slide, Brian. At this time, I want to thank our great sponsors. So Deloitte, Venture Pacific Law, UMC, Silicon Motion, New York Life, Most, Richwave, and BizLink. We couldn't do this without their ongoing support, and so we thank them very much. And on our non-COVID periods of time, we have our annual event, which over the last 2 years we have not been able, or a year and a half, we have not been able to do. But we're looking forward to the end of COVID so we can actually meet and greet everyone physically in person. Next slide. At this time, I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Limin Hu. He is a founder, CTO emeritus of Limin. He is also the chairman emeritus of Monty Jade West. He's done also various number of startups, which we'll cover as well prior to Limin becoming successful. He is also the president of Silicon Valley Chinese American Computer and Commerce Association, also known as SVCACA. And he is also former chairman of Friends of Special Needs, which we'll cover as well as we do our interview. He was a graduate of the UC Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, with a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science. And he had a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering from National Taiwan University. Welcome, Limin. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And Monty Jade West is my home. And when I was the chairman, one of the greatest accomplishments is getting David to take over my role. So it's always important to get the younger one, smarter one, to bring into the organization.
Well, those are very kind of words, Limin, but we all know how busy and how hard it is to run the chairmanship. And I know you did a lot of work during your chairmanship to make Monty Jade great as well. I wanted to first start off in this interview. I know like most of our community, a lot of us are immigrants to the U.S. And so I kind of wanted to understand a little bit of your journey coming here to the U.S. I know you did your education in Taiwan, but what made you come out to the U.S. to explore something new? What was that all about for you?
Yeah, when I got my college degree, I went to the military service for 2 years. It was mandatory. And at that time, many of my friends and colleagues they all pursue the American dream. And so I was very happy to follow the footsteps of other people. So coming to the Silicon Valley, going to UC Berkeley, and got a PhD, and continue to work for a large company. That at that point, the first job is the IBM research. So I kind of follow my American dreams, and after here for how many for 7 years, I finally realized that I just made the three big mistakes in my life. Okay, the first one is I shouldn't have come to United States because at that point Taiwan was booming with TSMC, with all the electronics. So many of my friends, they joined the TSMC and various IC electronic company. They were all doing great. And second mistake was doing the PhD, because I got here and I got the second year I got a green card. So I don't need a PhD to get a green card to have the right to work. And at that point of time, I realized that so many people are doing so well in the Silicon Valley. That was a booming time for Silicon Valley. But I didn't learn my mistakes. So after I got my PhD, I went to work for IBM research. So I think I could have done much better if I just stay in Taiwan, or just jump into Silicon Valley, just take on startups.
But like, why did you go to IBM? Like this is like all in hindsight now, but when you applied and got to IBM, you're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I think this is going to be fantastic for me.
Yeah, we don't have top level IBM executives here, right? But remember, at that point of time, that's about 1990, 1991. IBM was the best choice. So I got my PhD. I was getting electrical engineering, but somehow I got enough credit from the computer science department. So I got a PhD in both. And so I went to interview to all the places to interview. And you know why I chose IBM? Why I choose IBM? The offer was $3,000 more than all the other offers. The $3,000 changed my life. At that point, actually, going back, it wasn't a bad choice. It's a if you go to a place who can offer you higher salary, so that they really need you and they really can afford to pay you that much more. So getting a high paid job is absolutely the right thing to do. But I forgot the second piece, which is the most important is find a company that's growing. I think that's more important than your salary, because you join a company that's growing, that's doing great, have a bright future. It's much better than IBM that's stagnant and going downhill. And I think I remember I went to Elmenden Research on the third year when I was with IBM, and suddenly this is a place that you cannot get the best people into IBM, because everybody else was joining a Bay Area company, startup companies. And but at that time, it was the first. I think the first inspiration was really coming from IBM. Was really the time that Luke Gerstner took over. So IBM decided to change. So I got an email from the new CEO, and I'm thinking that, gosh, IBM is so big. And then I got seems like a personal email, but the first line, first paragraph says that to all the research staff, saying that the papers don't count anymore. So I know IBM was transitioning into the service company, and customer experience is very important. But I think the most important one I learned is that, hey, maybe it's not a good idea to stay in academic too long.
So yeah, I mean, so you learned a couple of different things, right? So you figured out that, hey, the best talent is not coming to IBM anymore.
Yep.
You figured out there were more customer and revenue driven now as opposed to research. And so, but how did that make you feel? Like, because you had selected IBM, they had great pay. Like, it was almost at that time, it feels like you have kind of golden handcuffs at that point, right?
Yeah. So until my research advisor came to IBM to visit me, and after I got my degree, he went to private sector, and he came back to me, say, "Hey, let's have lunch." And during the lunch, he said, "You know, it's my fault you're staying academic for so long." And he feel that there's so much opportunity going to the private sector, and he told me that he made more money in the past 2 years than his whole career. So I just decided, if that's the case, I will go where money goes. So he said, "Why don't you join my incubator, my startup company?" I just said yes. So after lunch, so in the afternoon, I was writing the resignation.
Oh, that was a fast move. So I
Yeah.
mean, you didn't consult. Like, were you married at that time? Did you have family? Did you consult? Like you just said, "I'm going to go."
Yeah, I just said I'm going to go because when I was at IBM, I started to shift more to the industry. So we've been working on projects with development labs, and so IBM's the IBM's measurement change, even for research. They're saying that what's more important is your impact. It's not your papers. So if I work for IBM development divisions, and I realized that there are so much opportunities, and my research advisor and I was very close with me, and I trust him very much. And since he asked me to do that, so I just say okay. He asked me to jump. I just say how high.
That's great. I mean, like, so you submitted your resignation in letter that, like,
Yeah.
It sounds like that day or the next day.
Yeah.
And then you immediately transitioned over, like, or after like 2 weeks, you transitioned over. Like,
Yeah.
how did that feel jumping into something brand new there?
Yeah, after 2 weeks, I moved to the new job, which is an incubator company. What they did was that at that point it was called the Technicron Technology Systems. So what they did is that they have built a lot of the small units, a group of entrepreneur, and they provide a lot of support to you, so you can build a brand new company. When you are successful enough, you might spin off or being acquired. So it's kind of like they give me I got the chance to experiment with entrepreneurship, but yet I still get a good job and I do good protection. But after 2 years, I just quit and started my own company, because I realized that once you learn enough, if you want to start a company, why don't you start your own company instead of working for someone else? Because you're still working for the Technicron Corporation, and when you're successful with your venture, and they're going to distribute some stock to you, but they only give you a portion of that. So I figured, since I'm doing all the work, why don't I just do it myself?
So what kind of companies did you kind of meet when you were working in the incubator? Like, how many companies did you manage through, or like, what was your role at that point?
Yeah, at that point, I was involved with 3 ventures. Okay, the first one is called the Technicron Pharmaceutical, and so we were we're still providing technology for the pharmaceutical companies. At that point, our client was the Genentechs, Cyrus, Vivus. These are very successful pharmaceutical companies. And we're not an expert. We're not doctors. I have no idea what they're doing. But what we do is we automate their clinical trial management, and then we try to make the process much easier. and then I was involved with 2 other ventures. One is the Technicron Transportation, and the other one. So that we just involved with multiple entities, and then try to see whether we can help them. And then it's really coming from the angle that you'll be surprised that they're not too much different than today, because basically we're saying automation. Like, use computer, we can make things much easier. and make things much smoother. So that's what we were doing. And but after a few years, I decided to start my own company.
Right. So it sounds like you did quite a bit, at least in the pharmaceutical side at TechCrong, the workflow management, right? Workflow management, and that was that also the next thing you wanted to jump into. So when you decided to go from the incubator side to your actual startup, did you also think like, hey, I'm going to do a workflow based company as well?
And actually not, because I think the technology can be applied in everywhere. So the real challenge is really finding the opportunity, right? If there's a big problem and technology could solve, and there's a market for it, and then you can come up with a solution, then that's how you start a company. And actually, the first company I started on my own is kind of I call it a venture labor company.
Venture labor company. What does that mean?
Yeah, even today still nobody heard of that. So because I figured that in Bay Area, if you work for companies, there's only 1 in 5 at best will make it. So that if you work 4 years, 5 years for a company, before you get your first bucket of gold, it could be 10, 20 years. So why don't we work for 5 companies? And so the way I did it is that I asked a group of friends, and I say, who want to be a starving engineer? And people say, starving engineer? I say, yeah, just like starving artists. We're going to do something meaningful, but we're not going to make much money. And so after I explained my concept, everyone was saying that, Limin, this is ridiculous. Everyone sign up. So the model is that I bring a group of the engineers, and we go to find startup companies. They don't have much money. They have a good idea. So we provide technology consulting, and we provide technology solution to them. So we build products for them, and we get very little pay, but we get equity. That's our main compensation, is equity. And so most of my people are kind of a part-time, right? So we work for 5 projects, and if one of them make it, then we all make a little bit money. Certainly we know that if one of the company make it, we're going to make more than our salary. But in the meantime, it's going to be you might be starving.
That's a great idea. I mean, like you see this like right now, and like we have like people getting advisor shares, right, quote unquote, earlier on. So like you'll have like people come onto the cap table early on as advisors, make some equity, and then kind of like there's no actual cash compensation.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're early pretty on. And I like Peter Chu's comment in the chat here. It's like a organized gig ventures.
Yeah. So that's why I say because this is what we need to consider, right? When I started my own company, I mean, I have family to feed, and I'm the only bread earner, and I want to maximize my return. But the best way is that if I have plenty of money, I invest in those companies. But I don't. So instead of venture capital, I'm doing venture labor. So our time's free, and we invest time, we get stock, and at the end, I was doing quite okay prior to the internet crash.
So how many of those companies actually ended up having a liquidity event where you actually could cash out?
Yeah, so I think the 2 companies have liquidity event and cash out with pretty decent return before the crash.
Before the crash.
So after the crash, and I regretted so much that I couldn't sell the stock fast enough. I knew the crash is coming, and I remember one company. It was $10 a share on the public, and after crash, it went to 10 cents.
Oof.
So instead of the down payment for house, I think I got a good vacation.
Well, at least you still got a vacation out of it, right? But so, I mean, it seems like pretty early on, like when you started this like venture labor company, you had this vision that said, hey, equity is much more valuable
Yes.
than cash compensation.
Yes. And also the growth is more. When I look at the company, I look at two things, right? And number one is really the growth, the potential of this company. And the second one is really the leaders there, right? If you have a good, but the leadership could change. And so I always think that, hey, if this company has growth potential, I really believe in the market, and you could grow with the company.
So how long did you do this for? Like this whole venture labor thing, and how many companies did you get in equity in during that period of time?
Yeah, I think it's 5-6 companies, and at the end, what's interesting is that one of my client this company is called Inspected, and this is a company we did the software for them. I got a decent size of equity, and I also got a license fee like per transaction, $1 per transaction. But the company kind of did not do well. Okay, so we did our job, but company failed. So the founder CEO of that company is my partner, Sig Enderman. So his company failed because the other one I found that very instead of in additional to my own education, it's really your network. Like, I got to know a lot of people, and I hang out with a lot of other entrepreneurs. And one of them is Sig Enderman. He's 20 years older than me, and he's happened to be my research advisor's family friend. So that through my advisor, they treat me as a friend. And now his company failed. He came out. He said, "Limin, why don't we start a new company?" And so that's how we started Anime. And so it was 2 years after my venture, my own venture, and then I started Anime. And first 2 years, I wasn't full-time employee until 1999. At the end of 1999, we got a venture fund, 14 million coming, and then suddenly the VCs are finding out, Limin, you're not full-time. So they put a statement say it's a requirement. If you want to get this $40 million, you got to be full-time here. So I decided that, hey, if we have this great opportunity, we need to concentrate. And so what's so very interesting development there is that when I was very successful with one venture, I spent 20 years. But what people did not realize is that people don't know how many I failed before Anime.
How many? Well, let's talk about some of these failures, right? So we know you've got a really big exit and a really great success out of LMA, but talk about some of the other startups that you were trying to build during this period of time.
Yeah, I think there were so many different startups, and one of the startup, and I started with one of the friends from Technicron, because my second job. So my boss, and then one day when I decided to quit, he quit after a year, and he came back to me and said, "Hey, Limin, why don't we start a company together?" and then so we just say, "Okay, sure." And then we say we're going to do things. It's more like, it's kind of like at that point in time, it was more like Gmail and the Dropbox combined. And we 3 of us working together, and then we have another guy from Technicron, and which is a Xiaoping. Oh. And so he was my CTO, and my old boss became my VP of marketing, and I was serving as CEO. But I think we were doing pretty well and building out the prototype. But because of VC requirement, I had to drop the other company to focus on Anime. So I pretty much say, you guys can take over. I'm going to give up all my investment. I will have no share in this company. You two, you should take it forward. But they decided not to do it, and that's when my friend went to work for Google. I think he make more money working for Google than me starting my own company working 20 years.
Yeah, he was pretty early at Google, right? He was like number 400 or something, right?
It's more earlier than that. I think
Oh, wow.
he was a very early high. He was before that he was working for Microsoft, and he went to work for Google, and he was very early. so someone told me he make from Google staff. That's a huge number. Yeah.
So this is really interesting, right? Because it seemed like you just had a bunch of people surrounding you that wanted to do business with you. Like, hey, Limin, let's start a business. Hey, Limin, let's start a business. Like, how did you find these people? Like, what's your secret that like allowed you to attract so much great talent to be around you?
Yeah, I think this is an area that I think when many people do not understand. I mean, do everyone here understand Chinese? I assume, but
I think so, most of us.
I'm going to use Chinese analogy a little bit. In Chinese, there's something called 伯乐跟千里马. So the meaning that you're super smart and you're looking for someone who's so smart who recognize your strengths. But in reality, when you are in the startup arena, your job is not only to be a 千里马. I think 也许我就这一段都讲中文，就是说很多人都觉得我把自己变成千里马，可是为什么没有伯乐认识我呢？为什么 How come I don't have a boss who help me, who take me with him? But as an entrepreneur, I think what you need to realize that nobody going to help you. So and 千里马 is a lot everywhere. And when too many of them running in Nevada, that's a pest. Okay, that destroy a lot of stuff. So the only useful is you put them in the right position. So in the early days, I always knew that to do any venture, you need a team. You cannot do everything. When you compete with other people, you want a team who have diverse talent. That's how you can be successful. So I told in my entrepreneur speech, one of the very important element is to be 伯乐. So that you should think about yourself. If you can get to know a lot of people, if you can recognize other people's talent, and then bring people together, use other people's talent, that's how you can be successful. So that's why I think it's the leadership and also the team building is very important. But I take it back to another level, which is the other element very useful is called likability. Okay, if you are very happy, and then you very social, you're very social with people, and you have your passion. I love to play golf. I love to ski. I love to do wine tasting. I love to do a lot of things. So I get to know a lot of people, and I'm always very positive. So people like to be with me. Now you have a network of good people, but you need to identify and figure out who are the right people you can work together, right? For example, Sig Enderman, he's Jewish guy in the banking area. So therefore we figured that actually it's a good combination because he's so smart. I always think that this is perfect, you know, with his smart and my look, we have perfect combination. So it's really that we the first generation of immigrants, no matter how we try to blend in, I just don't know the baseball that much. Okay, I just couldn't tell the joke that well. I just couldn't mix in with all the Caucasian guys that well. But he's my best friend, and he has very different profile. And so when we can work together, we never fight with each other, and we always help each other, watch out for each other. So 1 + 1 = 3. When I look at my other friends in different ventures, and I look at them, I say, "You only 3 of you, and you guys are fighting all the time." How can you go out to fight other people? Because if you guys are fighting all the time, So it's really, you need to find someone with the same idea, with the same dream, and then want to do the same thing and supporting each other. If you find this group, and trust me, the time is over for the individual contributor to say, hey, you know, I'm going to build a company. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to write an app that nobody can can do better than I can. You're not going to. You will fail. So that take me to another one that helped me to get a lot of connection. And I think without you asking question, I jump into another topic already, which is when Elime got the money, or things are going very rosy. Then I suddenly found that my second son, my younger son is autistic. So you see, it's a quiet dilemma. I need to make a lot of money to take care of my kid, but my kid need my time. There's a golden period from 2 to 5. It's the best time to help your autistic kid. And my son was 2 years old. I have this startup company, and my wife was was depressed. So it's a horrible situation. But I decided that that's the other reason I kind of gave up all the other venture, focus on Elime and focus my kid. And we got a lot of help from the organization, Friends of Children with Special Needs. So after 2 years, miracle happened. So that my kid is a miracle. He opened up and he can communicate, and it's really night and day. And going back to Elime, I was so busy with my kid. I mean, I don't have time. I don't spend overtime in the company, and they have meeting with me. They need to they need to book appointment with me, so that I learn how to work smart and use other people, because I cannot put in 12 hours, 16 hours a day. I need someone else to on the right job for that. and it's very strange that all my colleagues at Elime, they came back to appreciate what I have done. I mean, focusing on the family and taking care of my kids, and still manage the work. So they feel that, hey, they respect me a lot. But on the other hand, I went back to look at my engineering friends. They work hard and then stay late. And people say, you know, this guy is limited. He's only good with technology. He cannot be manager. He cannot work with product, let alone talking to customer. So all those people working hard, and they didn't have chance to do a balanced development. And I was forced to limit my time, and that's how they appreciate and respect me more.
And so through that process, though, like, you know, like I think going from an individual contributor, like actually doing programming, to them becoming a manager, forcing to kind of work through the team and eventually delegating. How was that transition for you? Like what was the hardest part transitioning from one to the other?
I think the first thing is that put down with your existing skills, right? I did the first. I was a programmer. I did a database design for Elime. So first 2 years, I was a key developer for the company, and now you going to hire some other people, and you cannot expect other people have the same experience or strengths in every area. And so the first thing you need to learn is to trust other people. and then the second thing you need to learn is that you need to put the right people in the right place. Okay, if I have a group of engineers, I throw them there and I ask them to build the best product. They're going to build the best engine, but they're going to build a lousy product because they need to talk to product, they need to talk to customer, and so that I think it's really the management is really two things, right? One is leadership. People trust you, and the second thing is really you need to put the right people in the right place. if one of my best friend is great, but he cannot be VP engineering, then you need to you need to make sure you put him in the technical track so that he can do his best. So you really need to look at people's strengths and then thinking that. Now coming back to my Chinese, right? It's a 伯乐. You need to know everyone is a 千里马. Everyone has strengths, but they have different strengths and they have different talent. You just need to use your talent appropriately. And I let go a lot of people, and it was tough. But but if you put them in the wrong position, at the end, if it doesn't work for the company, you had to let them go. So this is a process most difficult to learn, especially for me coming from an engineering background.
Right. Did you have like mentors to help you through this process? Like, how did you kind of work this through? Did you just create these thought process and this like strategy yourself? Or is it like you messed up a lot and then you figured it out? Like, how did you ultimately come up with this strategy?
I want to say I'm naturally born, but actually it's not. So I think the first thing is certainly learn from errors, right? So as an entrepreneur, I failed so many times and with different ventures. So throughout those failures, I learned. And the second thing is that you want to associate with the right people. I associate myself with a lot of entrepreneurs who are successful, and I have a lot of friends I respect. They demonstrated their leadership, and you learn from them. And also the third one is when we were growing, we actually hired someone kind of like like organizational, kind of like very good with everything. And so kind of hire with this, not a shrink, but it's really, if you can learn from other people, I mean, if you can learn from internet, learn from other people, and we need to learn all the time. And even the management skill could be learned. We have good coaches along with us, because we have some of the very successful entrepreneurs sitting on our board. I remember we have the Think City's original author, and we have ITT Financial CEO, we have Montgomery CFO, and we have the Washington Mutual's division president. These people, they've been very successful, and they do have a lot to teach us. And I think always learn from other people. Even other people's mistake is your best teachers.
Yeah, it's much cheaper to learn from other people than it is to learn from yourself, right? By doing it yourself. Ryan, you got a question there. You want to ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for sharing, your experiences. And, one thing I really wanted to ask you about is, it sounds like you had a lot of pre-existing friendships and relationships with people kind of going into business.
Yes.
How did you balance those friendships with the business?
So that I think I'm going to take a little bit detour and continue to talk about friends of children with special needs. So after 2 years working with them and then getting the help, I was somewhat successful with my company and my kid. And at that point in time, my partner and me, we look at each other, we say, it's so difficult for immigrant family. I mean, we look at each other, we say we are very smart, and then we're very fortunate, have a lot of resources, but not everyone can do that. So we decided to raise money to take friends of children of special need from a family organization to a well-established charity. So I raised $3 million, 2001, and 3-4 years I raised $3 million. We built a center in Fremont, and throughout this process, that gave me the last piece of the training for entrepreneur, because there's so many things. It's so different than what you imagine, right? The first one is how do I get so many good friends, right? I mentioned a few things: be likable, and then you have your passion. But during the effort to raise money, imagine this is the most difficult kind of fundraising, where you ask other people to take money from their pocket into your pocket, and the only reward is that you're going to be satisfied. Now you're not going to get money, you're not going to get a single dime ever back from the venture because it's a pure donation. So that I went out, I contribute myself, and then I learned several things. Number one is that you know what's the best way to get to know friends? It's in Chinese. It's 真诚. So you need to be sincere. If you're willing to help other people, and I'm going out to raise money from all the all the technical 大佬们, all this guy, you've been raising money, asking them to donate, to do the charity, and because I'm not doing anything for myself, so that once you go back to them one time, two time, once they tire of you of going back to them, suddenly you realize they're becoming your friends. So you building your connection, you think probably the best way is that what you can contribute. Right? If you contribute to community, if you contribute to a good cause, and then these are the people, the best as your long-term friend. And the second thing is that if you want to raise money, and you really need to make people believe in what you want to do, right? you need to be passionate. You need to have passion. If you are enthusiastic, you believe in what you're doing, then people will believe in you. And so these are all the important elements. So to me, being a successful entrepreneur is kind of like, if I can be a very nice person myself, and I get to know a lot of people, then there will be plenty of opportunity. For example, last year during the pandemic, I have so many people coming to me, and I started several ventures in different areas, because once you have the connection, you have the network, it's really you have plenty of opportunities. Okay, so Ryan, what was your question again?
Well, first off, thank you for sharing that experience. I think it's amazing, what you've done in the nonprofit space as well. I think there's definitely more to life than just business. But I guess the original question, going back to the business bit, is, you've had a lot of, really wonderful friendships and relationships kind of going into these business ventures. And, I definitely understand that, these people can be great allies and partners when it comes to building a business.
Yes.
But, conflict does occur. How did you balance, these relationships and friendships with your underlying business?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that all my friends, I don't, it's friends are friends, business is business. So these friends, I sincerely treat them as my close friends, and then on a separate level, if there's an opportunity, then we kind of have this network of information that hey, a lot of people have great idea, and then people, even when we do the wine tasting, sometimes we talk about what we can do and what are the opportunity out there, and you could find a good opportunity. Then some of the friends, I mean the in reality is that you probably don't want to go to do a business without a central idea, and just get your best friend and your brothers, and that's going to be a disaster. Because when you have a new business idea, what you're trying to do is to find the one with the same idea, find the one with same profile, find the one that the believing the same thing. So the unfortunately is that in my whole career, even though I have a lot of friends, but the biggest trouble all the time are people. because it's not going. I mean, it sounds like I got my best friend and we're very successful, but the half of the time you have a friend or you have a partner, they don't see eye to eye, or sometimes they don't contribute, or sometimes they just it just doesn't fit the role they want. Or someone, for example, if you have someone who think he should be the chief of the technology, but he's a good programmer, but he doesn't have the skill to be that level. so that I think if we talk about leading people, and we're talking about EQ, and many of my friends who are successful, I found that because I came from national Taiwan universities, and those are my colleagues are my classmates are the one with highest IQs in Taiwan. And if you look at them, then you come back to say, after 20 years, 30 years, then it's really the one with the best EQ end up to be most successful in business. so this is going to be a topic we need separate 3 hours to talk about.
So I'm curious, like I'm going to go back to the Ellie Mae kind of
Okay.
storyline, which is, like you're building your team, you're scaling the team. How did you manage to continue to kind of maintain that energy level as you guys got larger and larger? And when you guys first started the business, you were thinking A was the path to exit. And how did that pivot and transition over time?
Yeah, I think they say 2 things, right? One is that it's really the culture you're building, and the second thing is really we have a moonshot, right? We say we're going to change the industry. We're going to help Americans with their dream to get a home. We say that the mortgage process is outdated. I mean, remember at that time, I remember signing so many papers. Actually, we still do, but right now with electronic signature. But the process was broken, and it was not transparent. So we think that the mortgage process should be more like buying stock, right? You put all your information there, and maybe a drone can fly over the house, and then you get your everything, and then you use blockchain to do the title, so you don't need to pay 5,000 for title insurance. So there's so many things that we could change, and we do believe we're going to change the industry. So there's this culture that everyone believes. If you come to Ellie Mae, you believe in our mission, you believe in what we try to accomplish, and you believe we can make a difference. And second thing is that you need to make sure you translate that into motivation. I mean, imagine this is what we want our people, right? I want a product guy, whoever, very happy to come into the office. Come into the office, they feel that, hey, it's all their friend. If they have any problem, it's a very productive environment. And they think that we're going to change the world. And then along the way, we're going to all make a lot of money. And this is, for example, one of the things we did was that in the early days, and right now many companies are doing that. Every quarter, we say one day, either we take the whole company, or you can take any day off on the company and to do charity. So what we did is that when we have 100 people, we took like 70 people to the food bank to help the Saint Roman area. And everyone, when everyone was packing the tomatoes and carrots, and then everyone was having fun, and then they all know each other. So you build a team that trusts each other, and they believe in the future, and they're very happy coming to the office, and they're feeling that there's a sense of purpose there. They feel like they're doing something meaningful coming to the company. And so this is how you can grow a company.
That's great. I mean, like all of the things that we keep talking about all surround people, right?
Yes.
Like whether it's founding teams, whether it's growing your team, whether it's building the business, it's all around people for you. So like, yes. Even now, like as you've exited and stepped away from Ellie Mae, how do you still stay in touch with them? Like, how do you think about that company now that you've kind of moved away from that company?
Yeah, I think it's all about people. I want to throw in one more before I answer your question here. I think when we started, at that point, I think it's really, you need to pay attention to your customers. Okay, your customer experience is very, very important. If they love you, you're going to have a great company. So coming back to moving on, I think moving on is really that it's my baby. It's like friends of children with special needs. I'm always with them, but however, I think once I move forward, it's been acquired, and there's not it's really that I'm watching on the side. It's like your kids growing up. You want to continue to wish them the best, but you're so happy to see them doing well. But you not necessarily want to interfere too much anymore. Yeah, but so I think and for me, I didn't go back to build another company in the mortgage technology space because I figured that if I want to do that again, and remember one of the elements of success was really the right team. I mean, so right now I have a friend. I'm doing a Japanese supermarket because I have a friend who got the domain expertise in that area. And I'm doing other startup companies, and I have my partner taking out CTO, running the technology. So it's really the right combination. I want to find the problem first. I want to see the opportunity, and I need the right team before I jump into the venture.
So now it sounds like you're actively investing and starting businesses and doing businesses. Like, what does the future for Limin look like now? Is it to be active operator, or is it to be like the capital, the passive capital, or an active investor? Like, where are you thinking about this from now moving forward?
Right now, I'm kind of a little bit like entrepreneur slash VC. I invested in some venture fund and started a venture fund, and also investing in a lot of startup companies. I also participated as chairman, as board member, as co-founder, as advisor on several other companies. I also have ventures in real estate and traditional industries, just like the supermarket. I mean, so I kind of diversify a lot. But the one thing I don't do is I figure that instead of running one company, I don't take on. I was offered the executive position, and I don't want to take it because I have a lot of investment, and I think I could do great by helping many other companies instead of one.
Sure. So like more like an active investor, advisor, kind of like future framework now.
Yeah, and then actually in certain companies, in several companies, I was heavily involved. Right, one of the online education company, I'm sitting on the board, but I'm also sitting on the executive board. And on the other one, I was serving as chairman, and on the other one, I was a co-founder, so I kind of pretty much involved a lot. But I do enjoy the new life that I have more flexibility, and I can be involved a lot, but I don't need to be focused on only one or two ventures.
Sure. And so Ryan had a question around like validating startup ideas. Ryan, you want to ask your question on startup ideas?
Yeah, really quickly. And thank you for letting me have a second question. Yeah, I was wondering, especially in the beginning, you had so many ideas and so many opportunities early on. Clearly you probably didn't have enough time for all of them. So how did you validate and decide which ones are worth investing into?
Yeah, I think always you need to be sensitive to the market opportunities, right? I'm just going to use pandemic for example, right? So the last year I was sitting at home and during pandemic, and the restaurant has no business. So I decided that it was my friend would say, hey, DoorDash is great, but they take 30%, and the business model is very expensive. Maybe there's other way to help restaurants. And I happen to have investment in restaurants as well. So that I say, hey, maybe we can start a company, and it's a venture we started. I'm serving as chairman, and it's really helping because pandemic changed a lot, and during pandemic there's a lot of things different. So it's very opportunistic. You look at a lot of the things. You say pandemic does create a lot of opportunity. The other venture I was involved is really online education. It was there, but pandemic kind of accelerated the technology adoption. So we say, hey, if we can do online education, helping a lot of kids everywhere in the world, and this is got to be a great opportunity nowadays. And so that you there's a lot of opportunity out there, but you kind of need to balance several things, right? Number one is that you're small, so you need to have a team, and you need to focus on maybe a niche in the beginning, and you need to focus on how do you get funding, right? Because you have a team, you have fund, you know the problem, you have a solution, you need money, and you need a team. So that it's kind of like when all these things kind of like all fit together, then you know you could build a venture.
Yeah, that I think is the hardest part for like first time founders, is to understand that everything needs to stitch together, right? It's not just the business model, it's not just the product idea. You also need to figure out the capital source, not just for the seed funding, but how do you kind of continue through all the different series? Otherwise, you do one-time raise and you're done, right? Like there's like this like total pathway that needs to be considered before you start a business.
Yeah, and remember what I said about my first venture. I asked people to be starving engineers. You think about you start a venture, you're not going to make much money, so you kind of need to figure out. So sometimes you need to balance your personal life, your family, and the startup. And the most successful entrepreneur are the one take entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is actually a lifestyle, meaning that I have enough investment, I make enough money, and I'm going to run into trouble. I'm going to fall some of my investment, but however, I just keep doing it because I'm having a good time solving the problem, making good progress. It's just like my golf. My golf really sucks, but when I make progress compared to myself, I'm very happy. And the other example I always tell people is like climbing a mountain, right? Entrepreneur is like climbing a mountain. You want to climb a big mountain, maybe you should start from the local smaller one. Then you climbing the mountain, you're sweating, you get to the top, you enjoy it so much, and you want to continue to do it. So you got to enjoy the process a little bit. And the worst type of entrepreneur is the one that they sacrifice their health. They don't have time to exercise, don't have time to relax, and don't have time for the family. And they say, let me work hard. If this company can go public, then I don't need to work anymore. Then this is a exact recipe for failure, because if we raise money, every step we get is a bigger challenge, right? We raised $40 million. Now the pressure is on your back to go to next milestone. You gone public, it's just a beginning, because you gone public. Our company went public at $5 and dropped to at $7 and dropped to $3-4, and we have no money and all the pressure on you. So it's kind of like you always have bigger challenges, and this is not like a single shot. I make it, I buy a lottery ticket, I make it, I never need to work one day in my life. This is not entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's that journey as opposed to the goal, because the goal always changes on an ongoing basis. So now I don't know what to call this for you. This is not really this is not retirement yet, because you're still actively involved in doing things. So in this kind of like next phase of your life, what are you most looking forward to, and how is it so much different? Like how are you managing your time differently now compared to whereas before? Because I feel like now you're even more busy than when you were working or at Limin, not.
Yeah. So as I say, the retirement was really because the company was acquired, right? But reality is that I take this time to enjoy my life even more. So I have freedom to go ski and play golf, and I enjoy life much more. But at the same time, I have plenty of the involvement, so that I don't think I will ever retire because it's a lifestyle. I continue to build companies, continue to work with others, but instead of focusing on one, now I have more flexibility to do more. I always think that, hey, you know, now I would be very happy if one of them is successful. So that now I have many opportunities to make me happy.
That's fantastic. So in terms of, so we have a question from Amber. It's a little bit kind of asking about American culture. Amber, you want to ask your question here?
Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks, Dr. Hu, for sharing your experience with us. It's very insightful. So you mentioned that the as immigrant family, we face a lot of difficulties. So how about your view on American culture? Because if we are about to start business or anything in this society, we have to understand, say, the potential customers really well. If you know, for business to customer model. So what's your view, favorite or least favorite part of the American culture? Which part do you think as Asian we can actually contribute to impact, a good positive impact?
Yeah, I think there's some of my friends, they feel that, you know, they cannot be that successful in the mainstream community because there's always language barrier, there's always cultural limitation. And for example, many of our customers, they are all into sports, but I couldn't catch up with them. Because they talk about, you know, the baseball, you know, the game 30 years ago, one day, and the other guy said, yeah, and then I was like, what? I have no idea. so that I think it's but however, it's really that the few things these are a few approaches I have. Number one, you need to embrace the American culture. Right? I watch American movies. I drink with them, and they play ball. They watch them. I go with them to the sports bar. I try to enjoy. So I try to blend in, and I sincerely enjoy doing a lot of the things they consider as American culture. Right? Of course, I enjoy the most is the drinking part. No, that was just kidding. The second thing is that you don't need to sell yourself short, because in the company, what I realized that when I did a presentation, it's never that I couldn't speak perfect English. It's always what idea you have. If I have an idea, people will listen to me, and all the friends in the anime, most of them are American, right? I mean, the those are not immigrant. Most of them are born here. They understand this is your second language. They will tolerate, they will learn, and they get used to it. So that you don't need to think that because your language is not so good, or your Asian face, so therefore you couldn't fight for your right. And the funny things in the society here is that if you stand up for your right, and people respect you, and if you're afraid, just let them push you over, and they will get used to that. Keep stepping you on the ground. So third one is that this is you know what's best about the Silicon Valley? It's really a diverse team are proven to be most productive. I mean, there are certain ideas, Western idea, there's certain Asian idea. There's no right or wrong. But however, we always do a lot of brainstorming and make sure that everyone have their ideas. And we always found that when you have a group with some female, male, and Indian, Chinese, and people from everywhere, somehow this group, when they can brainstorm, the result is so much better than the homogeneous group. It's all white, and they're missing out a lot. And then if it's all Indian, they just say yes to everything, not going to happen. If it's all Asian, then it's horrible, because when I was in IBM, there's an area called Chinatown, because of all the Chinese from Taiwan, they all sit down for lunch, have lunch together, and speak Chinese. They're so comfortable to hide within their cultural group. Now they're missing out because they they are not accepted by other people, and they don't understand the product need. They don't understand customer. They're missing out a lot of the cross cross departmental or a lot of the cross pollination between different groups, because a lot of the technology is really technology solution is blending the best from several worlds together.
That's great. I think that's a great like analogy to the U.S. Right? America is the biggest melting pot, and so like accepting and understanding multiple different cultures, that's where the value, that's where ideation comes.
Yep. And I think things are starting to change a little bit, right? For example, I'm seeing that many Asian groups, coming out to say, hey, stop the hatred against Asian. I think this is America. We are as American as any people here, and we just need to fight for our right, and we need to stand up for ourselves. And that's what I'm meaning, that if you come here, this is we are Chinese American, but we are Americans, so you need to be part of the American culture. Then you need to have friends. For example, I have a lot of friends who's not Taiwanese, because when you only have friends of your small circle, then you'll never be able to break into other areas.
That's right. So speaking of civic engagement, I know like this whole movement of like Asian leaders coming together to really kind of defend and support the community. Like, what are your thoughts about like how should we as an Asian community, like you're talking about civic engagement, be involved in the process? What else? Like, what would you tell our community to say? Like, what should we be doing given this the violence against Asians recently?
I think everyone should think that I got to contribute something, right? If there's a rally, you show up. If there's an online, you can send a letter. And for organization, if many organizations can collaborate, and then just make sure that our voices are heard. I think this is a first step, right? It's always first step. If you coming back to a lot of old Chinese way saying that 个人至少门前雪. You don't try to help other. You don't look out for other, and then you will forever be the bottom group there.
Yeah, it's really true. I'm getting really excited because there's a lot more energy and momentum kind of building towards this. And I think a lot of this has driven a call to action for us Asians to be much more active and much more vocal instead of just hiding in the corner, right? Like it is no longer time. Like we can no longer hide in the corner. We have to make ourselves and our presence felt. That's our responsibility, I believe. Oh, well, Limin, I want to, at this current moment, I want to open it up to the floor again to see if anyone else has additional questions. Xiaoji, you want to give a shot?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Hu, for sharing your great experience. So I have a question. You mentioned that anime grow because you build a community, because you have collected a group of very smart and passionate people, but meanwhile, as a company grew, you will select people within this community to grow and groom them into bigger roles. When you choose to become sponsor for someone, it's in your company, is there any specific traits you're looking in their behavior, or what are those things you're looking for when you decide they worth the investment?
I don't quite understand your question on sponsorship. Do you mean that what kind of people we hire, or what kind of the organization we sponsor? I mean,
what kind of people you will put on the fast track to become the leader of the company?
Yeah. Anime was successful. It was many factors. Certainly that the one of the factors at very early days, we always try to hire the talent. We always hunt for the best talent. If we have when we only have 50 people, we hire executive that can handle 500,000 people company, and then we are open. We are actually very open. We just continue to find the best to join us, and so there are really two parts, right? One is really someone who has talent, and because sometimes someone just naturally born with they know marketing very well. Some people just very good with what they do, but the second thing is always important is that we always looking for people that that can work together or can build a team for them, because to grow a company, you're always looking for the leaders. If you find more leaders into your company, then you can hire 1,000 people under them. If you only hire people who can work for you, follow your order, then you'll be limited to what you can manage, right? We were very proud that we hire and we recruited many talent that they are smarter, that they are better than us in many areas.
Great. Any other questions for Limin before we wrap up today? No? All right. Well, Limin, go ahead, Amber. Go ahead.
Can I ask a little bit about the online education venture that you found?
Sure.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit? Yeah.
Sure. So the online education company I'm involved is called Square Panda, and so the founder, the CEO, who used to have a special needs kids and dyslexia, so he figured that he worked with Stanford and many places to figure out what's the best way to teach to young kids to pick up language. And what I found is that more than half of the people, even it's normal, they just don't pick up language naturally. Some people do, some people don't. And if you have a specific way to use multi-sensory, figure out how to teach them, and it's really very, when the solution was proven very effective for people suffering from dyslexia, they found that actually this applied to the regular kids. And so they took the curriculum, took the methodology and build that into the platform. And the platform would be an ecosystem, right? You have kids playing on computer and basically playing games. And you have AI on the back, and then you bring teacher and parents on the side to help. And so the right now is I think it's very promising solution, especially for the pandemic era. So this is an area that I always think that for all the ventures, I have three things I like. Right, number one, this is a venture that I enjoy doing. Right. The second thing is that I want a venture that I feel proud, or I feel happy, meaning that if I can help other kids, and I feel that hey, this is a wonderful things to do. The third one is that along the way, if I can make money, that would be great too.
Thanks for sharing. Actually, I have a friend. She shared her story during the Stop Asian Hate. She brought up that one of her children actually have difficulty in learning language. So I might, introduce her to this website.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, it's good to see this kind of resources being, applied to special needs kids. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for Limin before we wrap up here today?
So that I didn't have time to look at chat. So if I miss any questions from the chat, just I would apologize here.
I think we got them mostly covered.
Okay,
so yeah, so Limin, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and joining the mentorship program. And I'm really excited to put this online, and so the rest of the class can see this interview. And I've got a lot of big learnings from today, like this call. Like there's like this underlying theme for you of like sincerity in people. Like you're here, you like helping, you like whether it's building companies, getting people together, kind of focusing on a vision. And not only did you do it out in the work front, you also did it in the nonprofit side. Like you're very active in the nonprofit space as well. And I think like just by you being in all these different areas, meeting different types of people and making all these different connections, it's actually made you a significantly more well-rounded individual. And I really appreciate you sharing all of your learnings and your experience here today. So
it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Ryan, we're going to wrap up with some logistics. Could you share the screen?
Oh yeah, give me like.
As Ryan's pulling that up, Limin, we're going to need to find a time to get on the golf course again. It's been what, 3 months now? Oh, Limin, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right. Yeah, I was saying, Limin, we need to find a time to get on the golf course again coming up.
Yes, absolutely.
Ryan, do you have the final slide? Great, great. Thank you. All right. Just to wrap up really quick. This is a reminder that I know most of us have completed our recent year for the mentorship program. Most of the mentees that come in every single year are actually driven by past mentees. So if you know any friends that would benefit from this program or would be interested, or if you could message your company internally, we would greatly appreciate that. I know we're going to start our applications coming up pretty soon. So if you know anyone, please send them over and we'll be glad to take a look at them and see if it makes sense for them to join next year. Ryan, next slide. And lastly, we want to thank our sponsors again. Without the sponsors being here today, we wouldn't be able to do our ongoing events. And so we really appreciate you all for continuing to believe in our mission. And with that, thank you so much, Limin. Really appreciate you being here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. All right. Thank you, everyone.